Okay, well, it is 11:30, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for our Creating Accessible PowerPoints presentation. Our presenter today is Steph Rogers, who's an instructional designer and also our ADA specialist here at CeCE. And I will give it over to Steph now. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Sarah, and thank you everyone for joining me today. So today we're going to go over a few different things with creating accessible PowerPoints. The first thing we're going to do is talk about creating your own PowerPoints from scratch, and then we'll go over some issues with publisher PowerPoints that we typically see. So I want to invite everyone, if you are at your computer and you have PowerPoint available, to go ahead and pull up a blank PowerPoint and follow along with me. And can everyone see my screen? Sarah? Okay, perfect.
Yes, I'm able to see it.
All right, so what we're going to go over with the self-created PowerPoints, we're going to talk about selecting a template, using the accessibility checker, using the selection pane for reading order, choosing a design within PowerPoint, color contrast, using the slide master, alt text for images, inserting a table, descriptive text for links, and reading order. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of the presentation mode and open a new PowerPoint. So if you're following along, whenever you open PowerPoint, you can choose any of these templates here. It's usually best to choose a template that's already within PowerPoint that's been created by Microsoft because it's already going to have the functionality that you need for accessibility. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose a blank presentation. So the first thing that I do when I open up my PowerPoint is I'm going to go ahead and pull up the accessibility checker. So to do that, sorry, I'll go back. Go to File, check for Issues, and check for Accessibility. So if you look over on the right, the accessibility checker has come up, and it's already giving us an error, but we'll fix that here in a minute. The second thing that I want to pull up is the selection pane. So the selection pane is going to show you what the reading order of the contents in each slide are. So to do that, still on the Home tab, we're going to go over to Arrange, and then select Selection Pane down here at the bottom. And so that comes up on the right again next to the accessibility checker. And you can see already that there's a title and a subtitle. Whenever you do select those, you can see it over here on your main slide here. All right, so to add a title, it, you can also come over here to the left. If you are not sure if a title is added or not, if you don't have your selection pane up, you can always hover over your slide over here, and it's going to tell you that there's not a title. So you'll know that you need to add a title. So you just click in the box, add title, and then if you go back over here and hover over again, it's going to show you what the title of that slide is. And you'll also notice on the accessibility checker, well, it looks like it's updating, but that error should go away. So let's go choose a theme for our slides. Say we don't want the plain white, we want to choose a theme. So let's go to the Design tab, and you can choose from any of these themes. One thing to keep in mind though is making sure that the theme that you choose, that there's enough color contrast with the foreground and the background. I will have a resource at the end of the presentation that you can go to that has a lot of different links and other resources for using color contrast checkers and so forth. So PowerPoint, the accessibility checker, isn't actually going to give you any errors for color contrast. That's something you're going to have to manually do. But usually if you choose a pretty high contrast colors, then you'll be fine. So I'm going to just choose this one, but I don't like those colors. So I'm going to go over here to variants. You can use this drop down box here. You can choose one of the variants here, or say you already have some custom colors that you've saved. Which I do. I have a UCO custom colors. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And you can also change your font style over here as well. So for many of these fonts, you can you can change your font. And it's going to change for the layout slides on all of your slides. So we're going to choose that. The next thing I want to go to is the Slide Master. So under the View tab, you're going to go to Slide Master. From here, you can make changes. This is kind of on the back end, so it's showing all of the different layouts that you have that you can use for this theme. So you can go here and make changes, and they will update on the slides that you already have created or any future slides that you'll create. So say that I actually want to have a background image on my home page or on my first title page. So I'm going to go to Insert, go to Pictures, and say you have a picture already chosen. I have one here I'm going to use, the UCO CeCE design. I'm going to select it and insert it, and then you can move this wherever you want. So I'm going to move it up here. So this is my title slide. And also they all have unique names, so you can look over here and see which slide you want. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go over here to the Slide Master tab and I'm going to close it. And when I go back here to the regular view, you'll notice that I do have the image here, but if you look in the selection pane, there's not an image over here. That's because this is in the background and it will not be read by a screen reader. So you should only have an image on your page if it relates to the content. If you want to have like some sort of logo or something like that, you can put it in the Slide Master and just have it as a background image. That way it's not gunking up a screen reader when they're trying to get through the slide. But I will go ahead and insert an image here and show you what it looks like. So if you were to insert it on your regular view, you'll notice that on the selection pane a picture has popped up. So that's what this is. And it's also giving me an error telling me that I'm missing alt text. So let's go ahead and put in some alt text. So to do that, you're going to go to the image, you're going to right click, you're going to format picture, and then over here you have a couple different options, but you're going to go to the third one here, which is size and properties. Go all the way down to the bottom to alt text and select that. You notice that there is a spot for a title and a spot for a description. It is generally best to just put your alt text in the description. A lot of times whenever a PowerPoint or a Word document is converted to PDF, the title will not transfer over, but the description will. So we're going to go ahead. You could put for this, if you have text in your image, you always want to put the words in your text. So I'm going to put UCO Center for E-Learning and Connected Environments. Hopefully I'm spelling that right. I will say that there is no spell checker in the description box, so pay attention whenever you're typing out and make sure you're not spelling anything wrong. I'll put logo. Oops. Logo. So you'll notice in my accessibility checker that the error has gone away. All right, let's go ahead and add a new slide. So going back to the home ribbon, when you go to the drop-down arrow here for new slide, you can see all of the options that you have with your theme. So we're going to do a title and content. So again, if you go over here and hover over this slide, it says that there's no title. So we're going to go over here and type in a title. We'll just say slide 2. So there's a couple different ways you can insert a table from this point. You can do it within the content box here. You can insert table. You can also go over to the Insert tab and select your table from here. So once you've done that, you can go up here to the table tools. You can design your table any way you like. Again, keeping in mind color contrast. So you can choose that. You can use this drop-down arrow here. There's a bunch of different options. These same functions are generally found in Word as well. When you come over here to the styles options, you want to make sure that the header row is selected. You notice how that changes, and it also designates this first row here as the header, which is important for screen readers. I will say though, in PowerPoint, using simple tables are best. Complex tables get get too messed up with screen readers and they're not able to distinguish all of the different headers and rows. Really, the only time you should have complex tables um, would be in PDF because you can tag those individual cells separately, but in PowerPoint and Word, it can be a little complicated. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another slide. Do I have any questions so far? Is everybody feeling good about it? All right, so let's add a link. Let's just put the UCO homepage. So you'll notice that it will automatically hyperlink, and whenever our accessibility checker updates, it will give us a warning or an error. Not sure why it's running so slow today. But it's going to tell us that there's an unclear hyperlink text. That means that if someone was using a screen reader, when they got to this link, it wouldn't make sense to them. It would say www.uco.edu, which isn't going to tell them anything. It doesn't spell it out, and they also don't know the destination of the link. So we want to create a descriptive text for this link, but we also want to leave in the URL just in case somebody were to print this PowerPoint presentation out. That way they could have that actual physical URL available to them. But we also want to add descriptive text. So to do that, we're going to go to the link, right-click, edit hyperlink. And so you're going to keep the address the same, and then on text to display, that's where we're going to put UCO homepage. Oops. There we go. And we're going to select OK. And you'll notice that it changes, and I don't know if you saw over here on the warnings, but the warning went away for the hyperlink. But I also want to include the URL, so I'm going to put in here parentheses uco.edu. And that will make it accessible to all users, whether or not they are viewing this online or they've printed it out. Laura, will that spell it out or just say it as one word? Are you talking about the descriptive text? Oh, UCO, yeah. Um, Usually whenever it's all uppercase like this, the screen reader will pick up that it's supposed to be an acronym and it'll spell it out. So in my experience, it will usually spell out UCO homepage. However, I will say if you're adding alt text, sometimes it is best to spell out like UCO or OSU in alt text for images, but for links, UCO homepage usually works if it's all uppercase. Okay, so let's talk about reading order. So the reading order of the slides we've talked about over here on the selection pane to the right, where you have your title, content. This is going to be the order that a screen reader will read the content. And so whenever you're looking at your slide, the logical way that you view it and read it, that's how it should be displayed over here. So this is a little tricky. It's actually, the reading order is going to be the first thing read will be at the bottom. So it goes bottom up every time. So let's just add a few more elements onto this slide so that we can have a few more things. Let's check there. We'll insert text box. Okay, so now we have all these different elements. So say you come to a slide and it looks like this. Well, the first thing that should be on the bottom always is your title. So to move the elements around the reading order, you can either click it and drag it like so, or you can use these up and down arrows over here. So you can select your element and then use these arrows to move them up and down like so. And that will change the reading order. Does anyone have any questions on creating your own PowerPoint slide and making it accessible? Again, the accessibility checker will not check for everything. Like I said, it doesn't check for color contrast. It also does not check for, like, say you insert a video or an audio clip, it's not going to check for closed captions or a transcript for the audio. So those are things that you're just going to have to know, um, before you put it in, or say you put it in, you're like, oh yeah, I need closed captions, and make sure and get that closed caption and update it in your PowerPoint, because the accessibility checker isn't going to check for that. So I want to go back. If nobody has any questions, we'll move forward to the publisher PowerPoints. Go back here. So some common issues that I usually see with publisher PowerPoints, and this is even if the publisher says, yeah, we have accessible content, or we provide alt text for images and this and that. There are always images that do not have alt text, or they have uh, file names or like URLs as alt text, and that's not acceptable. So going through the publisher PowerPoint, you're going to look for alt text for images. One thing I always see are tables that are represented as pictures. There's just too much information in a table to be represented as a picture, because that's too much alt text to put in there. So the table should be real text. And then also the reading order. Um, you'll come across some that are perfect. Every slide you go to, it's title, content, and then you'll get some that are just the title's the last thing on the in the reading order, or you have pictures before the title, and so on and so forth. So it's really important to check those. So alt text for images. I was just going to show you. So I have this image here, and we're going to look and see what the alt text is. So if you'll notice it, there's a file name in here. I see this a lot with publisher PowerPoints. So you will have to manually go in, and sometimes it won't show up on here. It did show up on the accessibility checker today, but it won't always. So it's a good idea to go in and look at every image. So I go in here and I notice that this is not acceptable for alt text. So I'll go in and change it. So I'll just say owl sitting on a branch. And our error has gone away. The next thing, so this is a table here, which it looks great, but unfortunately it's an image. Um, and as I said before, the table contains way too much information to add alt text, and they should just be represented as real text anyway, not an image. So really the only solution for this is to convert the image into a table. And what I usually do for this, I'll pull up, or I'll copy and paste this into another document so I can see it, and I'll just delete it, go in, as we did before, insert table. There's 3 columns, and count how many rows there are, and go ahead and just type it out. That's really the best way to approach that. And then reading order. We kind of touched on this earlier, but again, if you have your selection pane up and you look over here and you're like, oh gosh, the title's last, I need to change that. So I'm going to select it, pull it all the way down to the beginning, and then I'm going to select each one and see if everything's in the right order. So first, oh, that should be third. All right, I'm going to have to move that. Let's move that up. And that one should be last. Oh. So you just kind of have to mess around with it until you get the correct reading order. So we'll click title first, second, third, and fourth. Okay, so now we're good on our reading order. So those are the main things that I see with publisher PowerPoints, and of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask an instructional designer or get with me. That's not a problem. But really, creating the PowerPoint with accessibility in mind from the beginning is going to be less of a headache for everyone, and it's going to allow all of your students to access it with ease. Does anyone have any questions about anything I covered today? If you visit our course design guide on the CeCE website and go under C9.0 Web Accessibility Review, we have a ton of resources on there, tutorials, how-to guides, some links to outside resources to check color contrast, to check web pages, all that good stuff. So please visit the website and look at all that stuff for your reference. There's some downloadable PDFs that you can keep on file for whenever you're creating your documents. But there's a lot of good stuff out there, so please visit our website. Looks like Laura's typing. You're welcome. I hope this information was useful and pretty easy to follow. Thanks, Don. Appreciate it. Yep, Laura, you can do that, and if you want me to look over them at all, you can send them my way. I wouldn't mind doing that. And Sarah's put in the link for our course design guide webpage. All right, if no one has any more questions, oh, looks like we got someone else typing. Thanks, Rhonda. Well, I appreciate everyone coming out today and going through these PowerPoints with me, and I look forward to working with you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Steph, and thank you everyone who joined us today. And like Steph said, if you have any questions, please visit our course design guide or just email an instructional designer or Steph herself. But thank you, everyone.